My landlord asked. There's someone else living in your unit. My roommate had impersonated me. The knock on my door came at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, right in the middle of my organic chemistry study session. I knew the exact time because I'd been staring at the clock, willing myself to understand molecular orbital theory for the past 20 minutes. Sarah Martinez? The man at my door was tall, maybe 50, wearing a rumpled button-down that screamed property management. He held a manila folder thick with papers. That's me. I tucked a strand of dark hair behind my ear, noting how his eyes narrowed when I spoke. I'm David Chen, your landlord. We need to talk. He didn't wait for an invitation, just pushed past me into our tiny living room. Maya's textbooks were scattered across the coffee table, her half-eaten sandwich still sitting on a paper plate. She'd left for her evening shift at the campus bookstore an hour ago. Is everything okay? The rent's not due until. There's someone else living in your unit. He set the folder down with a heavy thud. Someone who's been lying to me about who she is. My stomach dropped. I don't understand. Mr. Chen opened the folder and pulled out a lease agreement. My lease agreement. Except when I looked closer, something was wrong. The signature at the bottom looked like mine, but the handwriting in the emergency contact section definitely wasn't. Maya's mom's phone number stared back at me from a line where my parents' information should have been. According to my records, you've been subletting to an unauthorized tenant named Maya Patel. You told me last month that she was a temporary guest, but my building manager saw her mailbox key and reported it. He flipped to another page. You also requested that all communication go through your email, but you've been very. He paused, studying my face. Different in your messages. Mr. Chen, I never requested that. I always call you directly when. So you're saying you didn't send me this email last week? He pulled out his phone and started reading. Hi, Mr. Chen, this is Sarah Martinez from Unit 4B. I wanted to discuss my roommate's situation. Maya has been causing problems, and I think it would be best if she found other housing arrangements. She's been here longer than originally planned, and I'm concerned about violating the lease terms. The blood drained from my face. I never sent that. The email came from sarah.martinez.student@gmail.com. That's not your email? No. Mine is sarah.martinez2001@gmail.com. The one I gave you when I signed the lease 8 months ago. I grabbed my laptop from the kitchen counter, my hands shaking as I pulled up my email account. Look, here's our entire conversation thread. The last email I sent you was 3 weeks ago about the broken washing machine. Mr. Chen leaned over my shoulder, comparing his phone screen to my laptop. His expression shifted from irritation to confusion. Someone's been impersonating you, he said slowly. 4 months. I sank onto our second-hand couch, Maya's organic chemistry textbook digging into my leg. The same textbook she'd been studying from just this morning when she made us both coffee and asked if I wanted to split a pizza for lunch. Maya, who'd helped me move in last August. Maya, who knew my full name, my student ID number, my class schedule. Maya, who had a key to our mailbox and knew exactly when Mr. Chen usually came by for building inspections. How long has this been going on? I whispered. Mr. Chen was already scrolling through his phone. The first email from the fake account was sent on October 15th. 2 months ago. 2 months of my roommate pretending to be me. The October 15th date hit me like a physical blow. That was 3 days after Maya had convinced me to give her my spare mailbox key just in case of emergencies. She'd been so thoughtful about it, explaining how she could grab packages for me when I was stuck in my Tuesday through Thursday lab schedule that ran until 6 p.m. Can you show me all the emails? My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. Mr. Chen hesitated. Some of them are concerning. About you wanting to break the lease early, complaints about noise violations, requests to have Maya removed. He scrolled through his phone. Here's one from November 3rd, Mr. Chen, Maya has been bringing unauthorized guests over and I'm worried about security. I know I'm responsible as the primary tenant, but I need your help addressing this situation. November 3rd. I remember that date perfectly because it was Maya's birthday. I'd surprised her with homemade Trace Lutch's cake and we'd stayed up until 2 a.m. watching terrible Netflix movies. She'd cried happy tears and told me I was the best friend she'd ever had. What about this one from last Thursday? Mr. Chen continued reading. I've been thinking about transferring to State University next semester. Would it be possible to discuss early lease termination? I understand there would be penalties, but my financial aid situation has changed. I never applied to State. I'm pre-med here, I'm on track to graduate next year with honors. My hands were trembling now. Mr. Chen, what exactly has this person been trying to accomplish? He closed his phone and looked at me directly. Based on these emails, Sarah Martinez, or whoever's been writing them, wants out of this lease. The latest message suggested that Maya Patel could take over as the primary tenant if needed, since she's been such a reliable subletter and knows the building well. The room started spinning. Maya wasn't just impersonating me. She was systematically trying to steal my apartment. Our apartment was prime real estate, a 2-bedroom unit just 4 blocks from campus, with parking included, for $1,200 a month split between us. Comparable places were going for $1,800 minimum, and most students were stuck in cramped dorms or sketchy off-campus housing 20 minutes away. Maya had been desperately searching for affordable housing when I'd offered her the second room back in August. She'd literally hugged me and said I was saving her college experience. Mr. Chen, I need to see everything. Every email, every document, every communication you've had with this fake account. I stood up, adrenaline overriding my shock. This is identity theft. This is fraud. I'll forward them to your actual email address, he said, already typing. But Sarah, I have to ask, are you absolutely certain you didn't authorize Maya to communicate with me on your behalf? Even informally? Never. Not once. I grabbed my phone and opened Maya's Instagram. Her most recent story, posted 2 hours ago, showed her smiling behind the campus bookstore register with the caption, Tuesday night grind. Only 6 more months until graduation cap sparkles. 6 more months. The exact length of time left on my lease. There's something else, Mr. Chen said quietly. The fake Sarah requested a copy of the lease agreement last week. Said she'd lost her original and needed it for a financial aid verification. My stomach lurched. Did you send it? I sent a PDF to the fake email address on Friday. Maya now had a complete copy of my lease, with all my personal information, my signature, my emergency contacts. She had everything she needed to either forge a lease transfer or convince the landlord that I was voluntarily giving up my tenancy rights. The front door lock clicked, and Maya's voice called out cheerfully from the hallway, Sarah? I brought leftover cookies from work. The chocolate chip ones you love. I slammed my laptop shut and shot Mr. Chin a panicked look. His eyes widened as Maya's footsteps approached our door. Just follow my lead, I whispered, my heart hammering against my ribs. Maya walked in with her usual bright smile, holding a small paper bag. She wore her campus bookstore polo shirt and had her long black hair pulled back in a ponytail. Everything about her seemed so normal, so innocent. How had I missed this for 2 months? Oh. Mr. Chen, hi. She set the bag on the counter, and I watched her face carefully. Not a flicker of panic or guilt. Just pleasant surprise. Is everything okay? Did something happen with the apartment? Just a routine check-in, Mr. Chen said smoothly. Making sure all the lease paperwork is current. Of course. Sarah's been amazing about staying on top of everything. Maya shot me what looked like a genuinely fond smile. I keep telling her she's going to make an incredible doctor with how organized she is. The casual manipulation in her voice made my skin crawl. She was performing for Mr. Chen, painting herself as the grateful, temporary roommate while positioning me as the responsible primary tenant. Except I now knew she'd been working behind the scenes to flip that narrative entirely. Maya, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady, Mr. Chen was just telling me about some email confusion. Someone's been using a fake account to contact him. I watched her carefully. For just a split second, something flickered across her face. Not guilt exactly, but calculation. Like she was rapidly processing what I might know. That's so weird, she said. What kind of emails? Someone pretending to be Sarah, Mr. Chen explained. Discussing lease changes, roommate issues. Very detailed messages. That's terrifying, Maya said, her voice rising with what sounded like genuine concern. Sarah, did you check if anyone hacked your student accounts? Maybe someone got your personal information from a data breach? She was good. Really good. Already deflecting suspicion while offering a plausible alternative explanation. Actually, I said, the fake email address was sarah.martinez.student@gmail.com. That's not my account. Maya pulled out her phone immediately. We should report this to campus IT security. Identity theft is serious, especially when it involves housing. She was already typing. I can call them right now if you want. My cousin works in cybersecurity and she always says to document everything immediately. Mr. Chen was watching this exchange with growing confusion. Maya's reaction seemed perfect, concerned, helpful, proactive. Nothing like someone who'd been orchestrating an elaborate fraud. The thing is, I continued, whoever made this fake account knew very specific details about our living situation. Our schedules, your work information, even my academic plans. Well, yeah, Maya said, still looking puzzled. That stuff's not exactly secret. Your class schedule is posted on your bulletin board, and I mean, we live together. Anyone who's been in our apartment would know basic details about our lives. She was right, and that's what made this so insidious. Maya had access to everything she needed to impersonate me convincingly. But she was also creating reasonable doubt about her involvement. My phone buzzed with an email notification. Mr. Chen's promised message with all the fake correspondence. I just sent you everything, he confirmed. Maya immediately moved closer to me. Can I see? Maybe I'll recognize something that seems off. The audacity was breathtaking. She wanted to review the evidence of her own crime, probably to gauge how much I'd figured out and plan her next move accordingly. Sure, I said, opening my laptop again. As the first fake email loaded on screen, Maya read over my shoulder. Her performance was flawless, furrowed brow, concerned murmurs, occasional gasps of shock at particularly damaging messages. But I felt her tense when we reached the November 3rd email about unauthorized guests. That was the mistake that would expose everything. The November 3rd email was Maya's fatal error, and I realized it the moment I saw her shoulders stiffen. Maya has been bringing unauthorized guests over, I read aloud, watching her face in my peripheral vision. I'm worried about security. Maya made a soft sound of disbelief. That's so random. I never bring people over without asking you first. But I remembered November 3rd perfectly now. Maya's birthday. The day she'd cried over my Trace Lutch's cake and called me her best friend. The day she'd been so emotional about how grateful she was to have found someone who actually cared about her. The day she'd been alone in our apartment for 3 hours while I was at my biochemistry study group. The day she had complete access to my personal information, my laptop, and plenty of time to set up a fake email account. Maya, I said slowly, do you remember what you did the afternoon of November 3rd? Before I came home with your cake? Her pause was barely perceptible, but Mr. Chen caught it too. His eyes sharpened. I think I was just hanging out here. Why? Because that's when this email was sent. At 2:47 p.m. I pulled up the timestamp. Right when I was in Dr. Peterson's study group. The one that runs from 2 to 5 o'clock every Thursday. Okay. Maya's voice carried a slight edge now. I don't understand what you're implying. Mr. Chen was scrolling through his phone again. Actually, there's a pattern here. Most of these emails were sent on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Always between 2 o'clock and 5 p.m. My Tuesday through Thursday lab schedule. The exact window when Maya knew I'd be unreachable and wouldn't be checking emails until evening. That's just coincidence, Maya said quickly. Lots of people send emails in the afternoon. But I was already pulling up my calendar, cross-referencing dates. October 15th was a Thursday. I had organic chem lab until 6 o'clock. October 22nd, Tuesday, biochemistry study group. November 3rd, Thursday lab. November 10th. I looked up at her. Maya, you knew my schedule perfectly. You've been planning this around my classes. Sarah, you're being paranoid. Maya stepped back from the laptop, her helpful demeanor cracking. Why would I want to impersonate you? That's insane. Because you want my apartment, I said. The words came out steadier than I felt. You want to take over my lease? That's ridiculous. I'm graduating in May, I don't need. Actually, Mr. Chin interrupted, pulling out his folder again. The fake Sarah mentioned that Maya Patel was planning to stay in the area after graduation. Something about starting graduate school locally. Maya's face went white. I never told anyone that. Because you told him. As me. I was scrolling through the fake emails now, finding more evidence. Here, December 1st, Maya mentioned she got accepted to the graduate program at University Hospital for their medical tech certification. She's been such a great roommate, very responsible with bills and maintenance requests. Sarah, this is crazy. You applied to the medical tech program? I stared at her. You told me you were moving back home to Phoenix after graduation. Maya's mouth opened and closed. For the first time since Mr. Chen arrived, she looked genuinely trapped. I was keeping it as a backup plan. I didn't want to say anything until I was sure. When did you apply? September, she whispered. September. 3 weeks after she'd moved in. A month before the fake emails started. Mr. Chen cleared his throat. I need to ask directly, Maya. Did you create the sarah.martinez.student@gmail.com email account? I don't have to answer that. Maya's voice was barely audible. This is harassment. Actually, I said, standing up and walking to our shared printer, I think I can prove it. Taped to the side of the printer was our Wi-Fi password, written in Maya's distinctive handwriting, Sunnyside 2023. I grabbed my laptop and opened the fake email account details Mr. Chen had forwarded me. Account recovery information showed the security question, what's your favorite password? Maya was already grabbing her keys from the counter. Don't, I said firmly. We're calling campus police. Maya froze with her keys halfway to her purse. You can't prove anything with a Wi-Fi password. Maybe not legally, I said, but Mr. Chen, look at this. I pulled up the fake email account's creation details on my laptop. The account was set up on October 12th at 3:23 p.m. Maya, what class do you have Tuesday afternoons? I don't remember. Introduction to Healthcare Administration. Professor Williams. Room 204 in the Science Building. I was looking at her course schedule, which she'd stuck to our refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a stethoscope. That class ends at 3:15 p.m. The Science Building is exactly 4 minutes from our apartment. Mr. Chen was taking notes now. And the first email was sent 3 days later. Maya spent those 3 days watching my routine, figuring out when I'd be unreachable. I scrolled through my text messages with her. Look, October 13th, you asked me what time my Thursday labs ended. October 14th, you wanted to know if Dr. Peterson's study group was mandatory attendance. I was being a good roommate. I wanted to know your schedule so I could plan dinner and so you'd know exactly when to send emails pretending to be me. Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face went even paler. Everything okay? I asked. It's just work. But she was clearly rattled. Look, this is all circumstantial. You're stressed about finals and you're creating some paranoid conspiracy theory. Her phone buzzed again. And again. Maya, Mr. Chen said, I'd like you to check your email. Right now. On your phone. Why? Because 10 minutes ago, I sent a message to the fake Sarah account asking for immediate clarification about the lease transfer request. If you're innocent, nothing will happen. If you're not. Maya's hands were shaking as she unlocked her phone. The moment the screen lit up, I could see multiple Gmail notifications. Oh shit, she whispered. You set up email forwarding, I realized. The fake account forwards to your real email so you wouldn't miss any responses. Maya sank onto our couch, her head in her hands. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. Mr. Chen and I exchanged looks. She was confessing. How was it supposed to happen? I asked. You were supposed to transfer to state. Maya's voice was muffled. You talked about it freshman year, remember? You said if pre-med got too competitive here, you'd consider transferring somewhere with grade inflation. That was a hypothetical conversation about backup plans. But you've been struggling this semester. Organic chemistry, your MCAT prep class. I thought if I just created some housing pressure, some legitimate reason for you to consider leaving, it would give you the push you needed to make a change that might actually be better for you. The manipulation in her words made me sick. So you decided to forge emails and steal my identity for my own good? I never meant for it to go this far. Maya looked up, tears streaming down her face. The first email was just supposed to be a conversation starter. I was going to tell Mr. Chen that you were considering options, see what the lease break policies were. But then you realized you could take over my apartment entirely. The graduate program acceptance changed everything. Maya wiped her nose with her sleeve. I got the acceptance letter in October and I panicked. I couldn't afford market rate housing on a graduate stipend, but I'd already committed to staying. This apartment is perfect, close to campus, close to the hospital, affordable. Mr. Chen was writing furiously in a small notebook. So you decided to manufacture a scenario where Sarah would voluntarily leave and you could take over her lease. It seemed like it could work out for both of us. Sarah could transfer to a less stressful program, I could keep housing I actually need. By lying about me to my landlord. I stood up, anger finally overriding my shock. Maya, do you understand what you've done? Mr. Chen could have started eviction proceedings based on your fake emails. I could have lost my housing, my security deposit, my rental history. But that didn't happen. Because Mr. Chen came to talk to me directly. What if he just sent an eviction notice instead? Maya had no answer for that. My phone rang. Campus security. I called them 20 minutes ago, Mr. Chen explained. This is a criminal matter now. Maya looked at both of us desperately. What if I just moved out? Found somewhere else to live? We could pretend this never happened. You committed identity theft, Maya. Wire fraud. Forgery. I answered my phone. Hello, this is Sarah Martinez in Unit 4B at Campus Court Apartments. Yes, they can come up now. The knock on our door came exactly 12 minutes later. Two campus security officers stood in the hallway, Officer Martinez, no relation, unfortunately, and Officer Kim. Behind them was someone I didn't recognize, a woman in a navy blazer holding a leather portfolio. Sarah Martinez? Officer Martinez stepped forward. I'm going to need to speak with both you and Maya Patel separately. I'm Detective Rodriguez with the county sheriff's office, the woman in the blazer said. Campus security called us because this involves potential felony charges. The word felony hit the room like a bomb. Maya made a small choking sound. Wait, she said, standing up shakily. I want to show you something first. Before we do separate interviews. Detective Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. You understand you have the right to remain silent? I know. But Sarah deserves to see this. Maya walked to our shared desk and pulled out a folder I'd never seen before. Her hands were trembling as she opened it. I kept copies of everything. Inside were printouts of every fake email, organized chronologically with handwritten notes in Maya's distinctive purple ink. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what else was in the folder. Photocopies of my driver's license. My social security card. My passport. My birth certificate. Maya, what the fuck? I grabbed the papers. When did you take these? November 15th. When you went home for your cousin's wedding. She couldn't meet my eyes. I needed them to make the fake identity more convincing. Detective Rodriguez was already putting on latex gloves. I'll need to take all of this as evidence. But Maya wasn't done. She pulled out a second folder, this one even thicker. There's more. The second folder contained applications. Graduate school applications, apartment rental applications, even a credit card application. All filled out in my name, with my information, but listing Maya's phone number and email as contact information. You applied for things as me? My voice came out as a whisper. Just backup plans, Maya said desperately. I never submitted most of them. Look, they're just drafts. Detective Rodriguez was photographing everything with her phone. Miss Patel, how many financial accounts were you planning to open in Miss Martinez's name? None. I swear the credit card thing was just to see if I could get approved. I never activated anything. Officer Kim stepped forward. You filled out a credit card application using someone else's social security number. That's identity theft regardless of whether you activated the card. I was going to tell her, Maya said, tears flowing freely now. Sarah, I was going to explain everything after graduation. Make it right somehow. How? I demanded. How were you going to make identity theft right? I thought maybe we could be co-tenants officially. Split the lease legally. And I was going to pay you back for any credit monitoring or... Pay me back with what money? I was almost shouting now. You're a graduate student. You just said you couldn't afford market rate rent. Mr. Chen cleared his throat. There's something else you both should know. Maya, the fake Sarah account sent me an email this morning. At 7:30 a.m., an hour before I came over here. Maya went completely still. What did it say? Detective Rodriguez asked. Mr. Chen pulled out his phone. Quote, Mr. Chen, I've made my final decision about transferring schools. I'll need to break my lease effective January 15th. Maya Patel has agreed to take over the tenancy and will submit her application tomorrow. She's already been pre-approved for the income requirements through her graduate assistantship. Please let me know what paperwork you need to make this official. The room was dead silent. You said that this morning, I said to Maya. While I was in the shower getting ready for my 8 a.m. lecture. You were going to steal my apartment in 3 weeks. The application deadline for spring housing transfer was today, Maya whispered. It was my last chance. Detective Rodriguez closed her notebook. Maya Patel, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and forgery. The Miranda rights felt surreal as Detective Rodriguez recited them in our tiny living room. Maya sat on our second-hand couch, the same couch where we'd shared countless late-night conversations about our futures, with her hands cuffed behind her back, tears streaming down her face. I need to make a phone call, Maya said quietly. My parents, they're going to have to pay for a lawyer. You'll be able to call from the station, Officer Kim replied, helping her to her feet. As they walked Maya toward the door, she turned back to look at me one last time. Sarah, I really did think this could work out for both of us. I never wanted to hurt you. The door closed behind them with a soft click, leaving Mr. Chen and me alone in a suddenly too quiet apartment. What happens now? I asked, sinking into the chair Maya had occupied just minutes earlier. Her organic chemistry textbook was still open on the coffee table, highlighting visible on a page about molecular structures. Such a normal detail in the aftermath of something so surreal. The lease is still yours, Mr. Chen said, packing up his folder. Maya never had any legal claim to it. But you'll need to find a new roommate fairly quickly if you want to keep this place. The financial reality hit me like a brick wall. Without Maya's half of the rent, I'd be paying $1,200 a month on my part-time campus job income and whatever financial aid I could scrape together. In this market, that was completely impossible. Actually, Mr. Chin continued, there's something else you should know. The fake Sarah account didn't just contact me. She also reached out to 3 other landlords in the area, inquiring about apartments for Maya Patel starting in January. What did she tell them? That she was providing a reference for her current roommate who was an excellent tenant, always paid rent on time, very clean, responsible with property. He showed me screenshots on his phone. Maya was building herself a rental history using your reputation. I stared at the messages, recognizing the writing style that had become so familiar from the fake emails. Maya had been incredibly thorough in her deception. There's more, Mr. Chin said. One of those landlords called me yesterday to verify the reference. When I told him I'd never spoken to Sarah Martinez about Maya Patel as a tenant reference, he got suspicious and reached out to Campus Housing Authority. Campus Housing Authority? They've been investigating several cases of lease fraud this semester. Apparently this isn't an isolated incident. Mr. Chin pulled out a business card. Detective Rodriguez mentioned there are at least 4 other cases of students impersonating roommates or using fake identities to secure housing near campus. The scope of this was expanding beyond just Maya and me. So this is part of a bigger pattern? It seems the housing shortage has driven some students to desperate measures. Maya might not have come up with this scheme entirely on her own. Mr. Chen paused at the door. The detective will probably want to know if Maya ever mentioned other students who were having housing problems, or if she seemed to know suspiciously specific details about how lease transfers work. After Mr. Chen left, I sat alone in our apartment, my apartment now, I guess, and tried to process everything that had just happened. Maya's stuff was everywhere, her coffee mug in the sink, her textbook scattered across our shared study space, her photos still stuck to the refrigerator with little magnetic frames. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Sarah, this is Maya. They let me make one call and I used it to text you. I know you probably hate me, but I need you to know that everything in my room is yours to sell or keep. It should cover at least 2 months of rent. I'm so sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Even now, even after everything, Maya was still trying to manage the situation, still trying to solve my problems. The manipulation was so deeply ingrained in how she operated that she probably didn't even realize she was still doing it. A second text came through, also check the kitchen drawer by the stove. There's something you need to see. Against my better judgment, I walked to the kitchen and pulled open the drawer Maya had mentioned. Inside, underneath our collection of takeout menus, was a folded piece of paper with my name written on it in Maya's handwriting. The paper was dated October 10th, 5 days before the first fake email. Sarah, it read, if you're reading this, it means my plan worked and you found out. I know you'll be angry, but I want you to understand that I never meant for this to become so complicated. Maya had written me a confession letter before she'd even started impersonating me. This had been premeditated from the very beginning. The confession letter shook in my hands as I read Maya's careful handwriting. Asterisk Sarah, if you're reading this, it means my plan worked and you found out. I know you'll be angry, but I want you to understand that I never meant for this to become so complicated. When I moved in, I genuinely thought I'd be moving back to Phoenix after graduation. But then I met with Dr. Reeves about the medical tech program and she told me about the research opportunities at University Hospital. Real research, Sarah. The kind that could get me into a PhD program eventually, asterisk. Asterisk I panicked about housing because the application deadline was November 1st and I hadn't even told you I was applying. You were so stressed about organic chemistry and your MCAT prep that I didn't want to add housing drama on top of everything else. I thought if I could just create a gentle transition period, maybe present it as an opportunity for you to consider other options, we could both get what we needed, asterisk. Asterisk I know identity theft sounds horrible written out like that, but I kept telling myself it was just borrowing your name temporarily. I was going to tell you everything after Christmas break and figure out how to make it legal retroactively. I even looked up the paperwork for adding co-tenants, asterisk. Asterisk the credit card applications were just research, I swear. I wanted to understand what kind of financial verification landlords might require if you decided to move. I never submitted anything, asterisk. Asterisk I hope someday you'll understand that I really was trying to protect our friendship while solving both our problems. The apartment situation near campus is insane and I was desperate, asterisk. Asterisk P.S. Check behind my dresser. There's something else you need to know. Asterisk. I crumpled the letter in my fist, rage flooding through me. Even in her confession, Maya was still manipulating the narrative. Gentle transition period. Protecting our friendship. Borrowing your name temporarily. She'd planned this for weeks. My phone rang. Detective Rodriguez. Sarah, I need to ask you some follow-up questions. Can you meet me at the station tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? What kind of questions? We've discovered that Maya's case is connected to a larger identity theft ring operating on campus. 3 other students have been arrested in the last hour, and they all mentioned Maya Patel as someone who gave them advice about lease transfers and housing applications. My stomach dropped. Maya was teaching other people how to do this? It appears so. We found a group chat on her phone called Housing Hacks with 17 members. The messages go back to September 15th, right around the time Maya moved in with you. September 15th. 2 weeks after she'd signed our roommate agreement. Detective, Maya left me a note saying to check behind her dresser. Should I wait for you too? No, check now. I'll stay on the phone. We need to document everything before Maya's parents potentially show up to collect her belongings. I walked to Maya's room, which suddenly felt like a crime scene. Her dresser was pushed against the wall, decorated with photos of us together, Halloween costumes, study sessions, the birthday cake I'd made her. All of it felt like evidence of an elaborate performance now. I pulled the dresser away from the wall. Behind it was a manila envelope taped to the baseboard. Found something, I told Detective Rodriguez. Inside the envelope were printed screenshots of text messages between Maya and someone named Jess K, discussing my daily schedule, my financial aid disbursement dates, even my family's contact information. She was sharing my personal information with other people, I whispered into the phone. But the worst screenshot was from October 8th, 3 days before Maya had written her confession letter. Asterisk Jess K, how do you know she won't just report you? Asterisk. Asterisk Maya, Sarah's too nice and too busy with school to cause problems. Plus if I time it right she'll think transferring was her own idea. Trust me, I've been studying her for weeks, asterisk. Studying her for weeks. I wasn't Maya's friend. I wasn't even her roommate. I was her research project. The Housing Hacks group chat logs made my skin crawl. Detective Rodriguez had me read them aloud over the phone while she recorded everything for evidence. Asterisk September 22nd, Maya, update on the Sarah situation. She leaves for biochem study group every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., doesn't get back until 9. Perfect window for document photography. Already got her SSN and driver's license number. Asterisk. Asterisk September 28th, Jess K, brilliant. I'm going to try the same approach with my roommate Kevin. He's always talking about maybe transferring to art school. Asterisk. Asterisk October 1st, Maya, pro tip, Gmail lets you set up accounts with dots in the email address that still forward to the original. So sarah.martinez.student and sarah.martinez.stu.den both work but look different to property managers. Asterisk. Asterisk October 3rd, someone named Derek M, Maya you're a genius. Just set up 3 variations of my roommate's email. Landlord never questioned it. Asterisk. Sarah, are you still there? Detective Rodriguez's voice brought me back to the present. How many people were they targeting? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Based on these messages, at least 12 different students across campus. Maya appears to be the ringleader. She's the one providing most of the technical advice and coordination. I kept reading, feeling sicker with each message. Maya hadn't just been stealing my identity. She'd been running tutorials on identity theft, using our friendship as a case study for other students. October 15th, Maya, first email sent. Use the Tuesday afternoon window when Sarah's in organic chem lab. Timing is everything, people. You need at least a 3-hour block when your target is completely unreachable. October 20th, Jess K. did exactly what you said with Kevin. Sent fake emails during his Thursday internship hours. Landlord totally bought it. October 25th, Maya, Sarah update, she still has no idea. Key is to mention small stuff in conversation that makes the fake emails seem plausible later. Like I've been casually asking about her backup school plans, so when she emails about transferring, it won't seem random. Detective Rodriguez, this isn't just identity theft. Maya was psychologically manipulating me to make her fraud more believable. That's exactly what we're looking at. This group has been operating like a criminal organization, with Maya providing training and coordination for systematic housing fraud. My phone buzzed with another text from Maya's number. Sarah, please don't let them paint me as some criminal mastermind. I was just trying to help people who couldn't afford housing. The system is broken and we were all desperate. I showed Detective Rodriguez the message when she arrived 20 minutes later. Her expression darkened as she read it. Maya's lawyer probably told her to start building a defense narrative, she said, photographing the text. But this message actually makes things worse for her. It's an admission that she was deliberately coordinating with others. Detective Rodriguez spent another hour in Maya's room, documenting everything. Maya's laptop revealed draft tutorials titled Roommate Replacement Strategies and Timing Email Communications for Maximum Believability. She'd been planning to expand the operation. Sarah, I need to prepare you for what's coming next, Detective Rodriguez said as she packed up evidence bags. Maya's arrest is going to be campus news by tomorrow. The other students in this ring are going to be named publicly. This story is bigger than just your apartment. What does that mean for me? Media attention, probably. Maya was targeting honor students, specifically people with good rental histories and financial aid who seemed stable and trustworthy, to landlords. The story of students stealing each other's identities to survive the housing crisis, that's going to get attention. I sank onto my couch, overwhelmed. In the span of 4 hours, I'd gone from studying molecular orbital theory to being the victim in what Detective Rodriguez was calling the most sophisticated student housing fraud case the county had seen. My phone rang. Mom. Sarah? I just got a very strange call from someone claiming to be you, asking about our family banking information. I told them to call you directly, but... Mom, whatever you do, don't give anyone any information about me. Maya's been arrested. The silence on the other end stretched for nearly 30 seconds. Maya? Your roommate Maya? Arrested for what? Identity theft. She's been impersonating me for months. And that's when the full reality hit me. Maya hadn't just stolen my apartment. She'd stolen my entire identity, and now that her operation was falling apart, God only knew how many other people might be targeted as she and her accomplices got desperate. The call from my bank came at 6:47 a.m., jarring me awake from the first real sleep I'd managed in 36 hours. Miss Martinez, this is Rebecca Chen from First National's Fraud Department. We flagged some unusual activity on your account. Someone attempted to add an authorized user named Maya Patel at 11:23 p.m. last night. I sat up so fast my head spun. I never authorized that. That's what we suspected. The request came through our online portal using your login credentials, but the IP address was traced to the county jail. Maya had tried to access my bank account from jail. The audacity was breathtaking. Miss Martinez, I need to ask, have you given your banking information to anyone recently? The person who made this request knew your mother's maiden name and your first pet's name. My stomach lurched. Those were my security questions. Information Maya had gleaned from casual conversations over months of friendship. Information she probably shared with her entire housing hacks network. I need to close this account immediately, I said, already pulling on clothes with one hand. We've already frozen it as a precaution. But Miss Martinez, there's something else. This is the 4th similar case we processed in the last 24 hours. All college students, all with roommate-related fraud. After hanging up, I found 17 missed calls on my phone. Detective Rodriguez, my parents, Mr. Chen, and numbers I didn't recognize. But the most unsettling was a voicemail from someone named Jessica Kowalski. Sarah, this is Jess. I was in Maya's group chat. Look, I know you probably hate all of us right now, but Maya promised this was all temporary and harmless. Now my roommate Kevin is pressing charges, and I'm looking at felony fraud charges. Maya told us you'd never find out. She said you were too busy with school to pay attention to housing stuff. We trusted her. I called Detective Rodriguez immediately. Sarah, I was about to call you. We've arrested 6 more students overnight, and they're all pointing fingers at Maya as the mastermind. But there's a problem. What kind of problem? Maya's parents hired a high-profile defense attorney. Someone named Richard Castellanos from downtown. He's already filing motions claiming Maya is a victim of coercion from older students who manipulated her into this scheme. That's insane. Maya was teaching people how to commit identity theft. I know that, you know that, but Castellanos is good at creating reasonable doubt. He's painting Maya as a desperate first-generation college student who got in over her head trying to afford housing. I thought about Maya's confession letter, how even in admitting guilt she'd tried to control the narrative. Detective, Maya wrote me a confession dated October 10th. Before she started impersonating me. That proves premeditation. That helps, but Castellanos is arguing the letter shows remorse and internal conflict about being pressured into criminal activity by others. He's claiming Maya was documenting everything because she was planning to come forward. The manipulation was continuing even from jail. Maya was throwing her co-conspirators under the bus while painting herself as their victim. My phone buzzed with a Facebook message request from someone named Derek Morrison. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Sarah, Maya gave us your real Facebook profile when she was teaching us research techniques. I know this is fucked up, but you need to know something. Maya wasn't just targeting you for housing. She applied to 3 summer research internships using your academic record and transcripts. One of them already sent an acceptance letter to her address. The blood drained from my face. Maya hadn't just stolen my apartment and my identity. She'd stolen my academic achievements and was building an entire future using my credentials. I screenshotted Derek's message and forwarded it to Detective Rodriguez. Her response came back immediately: "We need to meet now." This case just became much bigger than housing fraud. The scope of Maya's deception was still expanding, and I was beginning to realize that everything I thought I knew about my life for the past 6 months might have been part of her elaborate performance. The meeting with Detective Rodriguez at 10 a.m. revealed something that made my knees go weak. Maya hadn't just applied to summer internships using my credentials, she'd been accepted to a prestigious research position at Johns Hopkins that I'd never even applied for. The acceptance letter was sent to a P.O. box Maya rented in September, Detective Rodriguez explained, sliding documents across her desk. "She used your transcripts, your recommendation letters, even your personal statement from your pre-med program application." I stared at the Johns Hopkins letterhead. The position was exactly what I'd been dreaming of: cancer research with Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne, whose work I'd been following since freshman year. A position that would have guaranteed my acceptance to top medical schools. How did she get my recommendation letters? Your professor submitted them electronically through the university portal. Maya gained access to your student account using information she'd gathered over months of living with you. Detective Rodriguez pulled up a screenshot on her laptop. "Look at this login history. She accessed your account 47 times between September and December." The timestamps showed a pattern. Maya had been systematically downloading every document in my academic file: transcripts, recommendation letters, even my personal statement drafts. All during times when I was in class or at work. "Detective, there's something else." I pulled out my phone and showed her Derek Morrison's latest message, which had arrived during my drive to the station. Maya's been using my identity to network with professors at other universities. Derek's message included screenshots of emails Maya had sent, posing as me, to research faculty at Harvard, Stanford, and MIT. She'd been building academic relationships using my credentials and research interests, positioning herself for graduate school applications I knew nothing about. "Dr. Chen at Stanford actually replied," Derek wrote. "He said he was impressed with Sarah's research proposal and wanted to set up a video call to discuss potential PhD opportunities." Detective Rodriguez was typing rapidly on her laptop. "Sarah, I need you to call Johns Hopkins immediately and explain the situation. If Maya shows up for that internship in June, she could cause serious damage to your academic reputation." As I dialed the number, my phone started buzzing with notifications. Facebook friend requests from professors I'd never contacted, LinkedIn connection requests from researchers I didn't know, even an email from Harvard Medical School asking for clarification about my preliminary application inquiry. Maya had been impersonating me across multiple platforms, building an entire alternate version of my academic life. "Dr. Hawthorne's office, this is Jennifer speaking." "Hi, this is Sarah Martinez. I need to speak with Dr. Hawthorne about the summer research position. There's been a serious identity theft situation." The pause on the other end was telling. "Miss Martinez? But we just received an email from you yesterday accepting the position and requesting housing information." "I never sent that email. Someone has been impersonating me." 20 minutes later, Dr. Hawthorne herself was on the phone, her voice sharp with concern. "Miss Martinez, the person claiming to be you has been corresponding with my research team for 3 months. She submitted a detailed research proposal about targeting BRCA gene mutations in triple-negative breast cancer. Are you telling me none of that was your work?" I felt sick. "Can you send me a copy of the proposal?" When Dr. Hawthorne's email arrived, I recognized Maya's writing style immediately, but the research topic was mine. She'd taken ideas from conversations we'd had about my career goals and turned them into a sophisticated academic proposal. "She's been using our friendship as research material," I told Detective Rodriguez. Everything I shared with her about my dreams, my academic interests, my career plans, she turned it all into content for her fake applications. Detective Rodriguez's phone rang. After a brief conversation, she hung up with a grim expression. Maya's attorney just filed a motion claiming she was conducting academic research on identity verification systems and that her activities were part of a cybersecurity study. He's arguing that Maya never intended to actually assume your identity permanently, just to expose vulnerabilities in university and housing application processes. I stared at her in disbelief. She's claiming identity theft was a research project? Castellanos is good. He's turning Maya's systematic documentation into evidence of academic inquiry rather than criminal intent. Detective Rodriguez leaned forward. "Sarah, we need to prove that Maya intended to permanently assume your identity, not just study how easy it would be to do so." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Maya's mom. Can we meet? There are things about my daughter's situation that you don't understand." The text from Maya's mom came at the worst possible time. I was sitting in Detective Rodriguez's office, staring at evidence of Maya's systematic theft of my entire academic future, and now her mother wanted to meet to explain things I didn't understand. "Don't respond to that," Detective Rodriguez said immediately. "Maya's family could be trying to gather information for her defense. Anything you say to them could be twisted by her attorney." But my phone buzzed again. "Sarah, this is Dr. Patel. I'm a psychiatrist at Phoenix General Hospital. Maya is my daughter. I know what she did was wrong, but there are medical factors you need to know about. She's been diagnosed with a condition that affects impulse control and decision-making. Please call me at 602-555-7834. I showed the message to Detective Rodriguez, whose expression shifted from annoyance to concern. "A psychiatric defense," she muttered. "Castellanos is building a mental health angle. What does that mean for the case?" "It complicates things significantly. If Maya's attorney can prove she has a legitimate mental health condition that impaired her judgment, it could reduce the charges from felonies to misdemeanors, or even result in mandatory treatment instead of jail time." My phone rang. Johns Hopkins again. "Miss Martinez, this is Dr. Hawthorne. I've been reviewing the email correspondence with the person impersonating you, and I'm afraid there's another problem." Her voice was tight with frustration. This individual has been scheduling video calls with potential research collaborators at other institutions, using your name. Dr. Michael Chen at Stanford mentioned meeting with you via Zoom last week to discuss joint research opportunities. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dr. Hawthorne, I never did a Zoom call with anyone at Stanford. The person on that call convinced Dr. Chen to write a letter of support for your graduate school applications. He's already submitted it to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, recommending you for their PhD programs based on research discussions that apparently never happened with you. Detective Rodriguez was taking notes furiously. Dr. Hawthorne, this is Detective Rodriguez with the Sheriff's Office. Can you provide us with any technical details about those video calls? IP addresses, timestamps, anything that might help us track the impersonator? I'll have my IT department send over everything they have. But detective, you should know that this person was extremely convincing. She knew details about Sarah's coursework, her professors, even her family background. If I didn't know better, I'd say she'd been studying Sarah's life for months. Because she had been. Maya had been living with me, collecting information, building a comprehensive profile that she could use to impersonate me convincingly in professional academic settings. After Dr. Hawthorne hung up, Detective Rodriguez pulled up Maya's arrest file on her computer. Sarah, I need to ask you some specific questions about Maya's behavior over the past few months. Did you notice any changes in her routine, her mood, her academic performance? I thought back over the fall semester. Actually, yes. Maya started staying up really late, but not studying. I'd see her laptop screen sometimes, and she was always on email or administrative websites. She said she was researching graduate programs. What about her academic work? Did her grades change? She was doing better than ever. Dean's List both semesters since she moved in. I paused, remembering something. But she switched her major focus in October. She went from general biology to pre-medical track, just like me. Detective Rodriguez looked up sharply. She changed her academic track to match yours? She said living with me inspired her to consider medical school. I thought it was sweet that I was being a good influence. The irony tasted bitter in my mouth. Sarah, Maya wasn't just stealing your identity. She was systematically replacing you. The apartment, the academic profile, the professional relationships, she was building a complete life using your credentials while positioning herself to step into it seamlessly. My phone buzzed with an email notification. The sender was sarah.martinez.student@gmail.com, the fake account Maya had created. The subject line read, "Final message from Maya." Don't open it, Detective Rodriguez said immediately, but I was already clicking. Sarah, this is Maya using the last of my supervised computer time at the county jail. I know you hate me, but I need you to understand that everything I did was because I admired you so much. You had this perfect life, good grades, supportive family, clear career goals. I wanted to be you because I could never figure out how to be me. I never meant for it to go this far, but once I started, I couldn't stop. The research position at Johns Hopkins? I was going to do it in your honor, make you proud. I know that sounds crazy now, but I really believed I could live your life better than you were living it. I'm sorry for everything. Detective Rodriguez was already on her phone with the jail's IT department. How did she gain access to that email account from custody? But I was staring at Maya's final sentence, the one that revealed the depth of her delusion. I really believed I could live your life better than you were living it. Maya hadn't just stolen my identity. In her mind, she'd been trying to save me from myself. The psychiatric evaluation results arrived 3 days later, and they changed everything. Borderline personality disorder with narcissistic features, Detective Rodriguez read from the report. Dr. Patel's evaluation indicates Maya has been struggling with identity disturbance and intense fear of abandonment since adolescence. I sat in the detective's office, staring at medical terminology that was supposed to explain why my roommate had systematically stolen my entire life. Does this mean she gets away with it? Not exactly, but it complicates the prosecution significantly. Detective Rodriguez flipped through the thick psychiatric report. Dr. Patel argues that Maya's condition caused her to form an unhealthy attachment to you, leading to what she calls identity fusion. Essentially, Maya stopped being able to distinguish between her life and yours. The report included transcripts from Maya's sessions with the jail psychiatrist. Reading them made my skin crawl. Sarah represented everything I wanted to be but could never achieve on my own. She was organized, focused, confident. When I moved in with her, I started noticing how she did things, her study schedule, her way of talking to professors, even how she organized her desk. I began copying small things at first, just to see if they would work for me. Asterisk. The email impersonation started as an experiment. I wanted to see if I could communicate like Sarah with her confidence and clarity. When Mr. Chen responded positively to her emails, I felt like I was finally good enough. Asterisk. I wasn't trying to hurt Sarah. I was trying to become worthy of being her friend. Asterisk. This is insane, I said, closing the file. She's making herself sound like the victim. Detective Rodriguez's phone rang. It's the DA's office, she said, answering. I could only hear one side of the conversation, but Detective Rodriguez's increasingly frustrated expression told me everything I needed to know. Sarah, she said after hanging up, Maya's attorney has negotiated a plea deal. What kind of plea deal? 2 years probation, mandatory psychiatric treatment, and full restitution for damages. No jail time. I stared at her in disbelief. No jail time? Maya stole my identity, my academic future, my housing. She was running a criminal network teaching other students how to commit fraud, and she gets probation? The psychiatric evaluation convinced the DA that Maya genuinely believed she was helping you. Her attorney argued that someone with her mental health conditions couldn't form the criminal intent necessary for felony charges. My phone buzzed with a call from Johns Hopkins. Dr. Hawthorne again. Miss Martinez, I'm afraid there's been another development. The person impersonating you apparently gave a virtual presentation to our research consortium last month. The presentation was so impressive that we've already allocated $50,000 in research funding for your project. What project? The BRCA gene therapy research you proposed. We've assigned lab space, ordered equipment, even hired a research assistant. The project is supposed to begin in January. I looked at Detective Rodriguez, who was scribbling notes frantically. Dr. Hawthorne, I never proposed any research project. I don't even officially have your internship anymore. Miss Martinez, I need to ask you directly, are you planning to accept this position or not? Because if this entire application was fraudulent, we need to reallocate funding immediately. Other qualified candidates turned down opportunities because we thought you were committed to our program. The weight of Maya's deception was expanding beyond identity theft. She damaged my reputation with prestigious researchers, caused Johns Hopkins to misallocate funding, and potentially ruined opportunities for other students. I'll call you back in 1 hour, I told Dr. Hawthorne. After hanging up, Detective Rodriguez leaned forward. Sarah, even if Maya gets probation instead of jail time, you still have the right to pursue civil damages. Identity theft, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud, you could sue for significant compensation. With what money? I'm a college student. Maya's a college student. Her parents would have to pay, and they're already dealing with psychiatric treatment costs. There's something else, Detective Rodriguez said quietly. The other students in Maya's network are pointing fingers at each other to reduce their own sentences. Jessica Kowalski claims Maya specifically recruited her because Sarah was too trusting and distracted to notice a systematic operation. The betrayal cut deeper hearing it secondhand from someone who'd never even met me. Detective, what happens if I refuse the plea deal? What if I want Maya to face the full consequences? Then we go to trial. But Maya's psychiatric defense is strong, and trials are unpredictable. You could end up with the same result after months of legal proceedings and media attention. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya's fake email account again. Sarah, I heard about the plea deal. I want to make things right. Can we meet? Even facing criminal charges, Maya was still trying to control the narrative of our relationship. The meeting Maya requested happened anyway, just not the way she'd planned. Her parents ambushed me outside my biochemistry lecture on Thursday afternoon. Sarah? I'm Dr. Meera Patel, Maya's mother. The woman approaching me was small and elegant, wearing a navy suit that screamed expensive lawyer consultation. This is my husband, Dr. Raj Patel. We need to talk. I clutched my textbook tighter. Detective Rodriguez told me not to speak with Maya's family. Please, Dr. Patel said, her voice cracking slightly. Just 5 minutes. There are things about Maya's condition that the legal system isn't considering. Against my better judgment, I followed them to a coffee shop across from the science building. Dr. Patel immediately pulled out a manila folder thick with medical records. Maya has been in treatment since she was 14, Dr. Patel began, spreading documents across our small table. Borderline personality disorder, but also something called dissociative identity disorder. She's had episodes where she genuinely believes she is someone else. I stared at the psychiatric evaluations dated back to Maya's high school years. Multiple hospitalizations. Medication trials. Family therapy sessions. Are you saying Maya literally thought she was me? During her worst episodes, yes. Dr. Raj Patel spoke for the first time, his voice heavy with exhaustion. Maya called us in November, crying because she was confused about which classes were hers and which were Sarah's. She couldn't distinguish between your academic achievements and what she believed were her own memories of earning them. The coffee shop suddenly felt too warm. Why didn't she tell me she had a psychiatric condition? Because she was stable on medication for 2 years before college, Dr. Meera Patel explained. Living independently, maintaining good grades, no episodes. We thought the worst was behind us. She pulled out a prescription bottle dated September 15th. Maya stopped taking her antipsychotic medication 3 days after moving in with you. She told us she felt normal for the first time and didn't want drugs dulling her experience of college life. September 15th. The same date Detective Rodriguez had mentioned for the Housing Hacks group chat. Maya went off her medication and immediately started planning identity theft? Sarah, you have to understand Maya's episodes aren't random. They're triggered by intense admiration or attachment to someone she perceives as having the life she wishes she could live. Dr. Meera Patel's hands were shaking as she sorted through medical records. In high school, she impersonated her best friend Jessica for 3 months. Created fake social media accounts, applied to colleges using Jessica's grades, even showed up to Jessica's job and worked a full shift pretending to be her. The scope of Maya's condition was more disturbing than simple criminal intent. This was a pattern of behavior going back years. What happened with Jessica? Jessica's parents found out and pressed charges. Maya spent 6 months in a residential psychiatric facility. Dr. Raj Patel pulled out his phone and showed me a news article from Maya's hometown paper. The headline was Local Teen Arrested for Identity Theft. Maya was 17. I read the article with growing horror. Maya had stolen Jessica's identity so completely that she'd convinced Jessica's own grandmother that Maya was the real Jessica during a phone conversation. You're telling me Maya has done this before, and you let her move in with a roommate anyway? Dr. Meera Patel's composure cracked completely. Maya was stable for 2 years. Her psychiatrist cleared her for independent living. We thought monitoring her medication remotely would be sufficient. But you didn't tell the university about her psychiatric history? Patient confidentiality laws prohibited us from sharing that information without Maya's consent, Dr. Raj Patel explained. And Maya refused to disclose her condition on her housing application. My phone buzzed with a call from Detective Rodriguez. I answered immediately. Sarah, where are you? Maya's parents violated the no-contact order by approaching you. I looked at Dr. and Dr. Patel, who were watching me with desperate expressions. They're here with me now. They're telling me about Maya's psychiatric history. Get away from them immediately. Maya's attorney is trying to use any contact between you and her family to argue that you're sympathetic to her mental health defense. The manipulation was continuing even through Maya's parents, who probably didn't realize they were being used as pawns in their daughter's legal strategy. I have to go, I told the Patels, standing up from our table. But Dr. Meera Patel grabbed my arm. Sarah, please. Maya is getting out on bail tomorrow pending her sentencing hearing. She's asked to see you. The meeting with Maya happened anyway, against Detective Rodriguez's explicit orders. She cornered me outside my organic chemistry final exam on December 18th at 3:47 p.m., 20 minutes after I'd finished what should have been the most stressful test of my semester. Sarah, please don't walk away. Maya looked smaller somehow, wearing an Orange County jail jumpsuit that hung loose on her frame. 2 bailiffs stood 20 feet away, close enough to intervene but far enough to give us the illusion of privacy. I have 15 minutes before they take me back. You violated your bail conditions by coming to campus. I know. But my sentencing hearing is tomorrow and I needed you to hear this directly from me. Maya's voice was steadier than I'd expected. I'm not taking the plea deal. I stopped walking. What? I'm pleading guilty to all charges. Full felony convictions. I told Castellanos to withdraw the psychiatric defense. Maya pulled a folded paper from her pocket. I wrote you a real apology this time. No manipulation, no excuses. The letter was written on county jail stationery in Maya's careful handwriting. Asterisk Sarah, I stole your life because I was too cowardly to build my own. I convinced myself I was helping you, protecting you, even honoring you by living your dreams better than you could. But the truth is I was just a thief who stole from the person who trusted me most. Asterisk. Asterisk, the psychiatric evaluation is real. I do have BPD and I was off my medication. But thousands of people have mental illness without becoming criminals. I chose to hurt you, systematically and deliberately, for months. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm dropping the plea deal and accepting full consequences. I've also instructed my attorney to help you recover everything I stole, the Johns Hopkins internship, the research funding, the professional relationships I damaged using your name. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'll serve whatever sentence the judge gives me, and when I get out, I'll stay away from you forever. You deserve to build your future without looking over your shoulder for me. Asterisk. Asterisk, I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know that meeting you didn't turn me into a criminal. It just revealed who I already was. Asterisk. I finished reading and looked up at Maya, who was watching me with an expression I'd never seen before, genuine remorse without the underlying calculation that had marked every interaction since the day she'd moved in. Why now? Why tell the truth after months of lies? Because Dr. Peterson made me read the victim impact statements from all 12 students we targeted. Maya's voice broke slightly. Jessica Kowalski lost her scholarship because of credit damage from my identity theft training. Derek Morrison got kicked out of his internship program. I destroyed real people's lives to fix problems I created in my own head. What about the Johns Hopkins position? Dr. Hawthorne agreed to honor the acceptance letter if you want it. The research proposal I submitted was based on your ideas anyway. You're more qualified for that position than I ever was. Maya glanced at the bailiffs, who were checking their watches. Your transcript shows you've been researching BRCA mutations since sophomore year. I just stole your work and packaged it better. For 6 months, Maya had been living a version of my life that was more organized, more confident, and more successful than anything I'd been building on my own. She'd taken my scattered academic interests and turned them into a coherent research proposal. She'd transformed my tentative professional networking into concrete opportunities. She'd lived my dreams more effectively than I had. Maya, I have to ask you something, and I need the truth. Okay. Did any of our friendship mean anything to you? The late-night study sessions, the birthday cake, all those conversations about our futures, was any of it real? Maya was quiet for almost a minute. The friendship was the realest thing in my life. That's why I couldn't let it go when I realized you were going to outgrow me. The bailiffs approached. Time's up. As they escorted Maya away, she called over her shoulder, Sarah? Build something amazing. You don't need me or anyone else to live your life. Maya Patel was sentenced to 18 months in county jail and 3 years probation on January 15th. I didn't attend the hearing, but Detective Rodriguez called me with the final details, full restitution for all victims, mandatory psychiatric treatment, and a permanent ban from university housing programs. Dr. Hawthorne officially offered me the Johns Hopkins internship on January 22nd. I accepted. The apartment that had started this whole nightmare? I kept it, found a new roommate through official university housing, and learned to trust carefully but completely. Maya had been right about one thing, I was capable of building something amazing. I just had to stop letting other people live my life for me.